Welcome to Teaching Truth. My name is Glenn Cartwright. It's like rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic. No matter what you do, unless you change course, you are going down. History records for us that the captain of the Titanic had no less than 6 warnings to change course, but refused to do so because he believed that his ship was unsinkable and he wanted to prove that his ship could cross the Atlantic in record time. Well, we all know what happened. The Titanic struck an iceberg and within a few hours over 1,500 people drowned. So why do I open by sharing this with you? Well, simply to say this, that unless we change the course that we are on, the fate of much of today's church will be no different. Unless the ship is taken off autopilot and the numerous warnings are heeded, modern day icebergs with names on are waiting to sink so-called unsinkable churches. Icebergs called the status quo, irrelevant, our comfort zone, pride and dead traditions, to name but a few. Had the church at Sardis changed course, the church we're thinking about in our reflections this week, it would not have hit the icebergs which it did. The status quo iceberg and the comfort zone iceberg, to name but 2. The church at Sardis were too busy rearranging the deck chairs. They were oblivious to the icebergs which lay ahead. And many on the good ship Sardis chose not to listen to the warning that was given to change course. Let's read together in our Bibles of the church at Sardis in Revelation chapter 3. We read these words. To the angel of the church in Sardis write, these are the words of him who holds the 7 spirits of God and the 7 stars. I know your deeds. You have a reputation of being alive, but you are dead. Wake up, strengthen what remains and is about to die. For I have not found your deeds complete in the sight of my God. Remember, therefore, what you have received and heard. Obey it and repent. But if you do not wake up, I will come like a thief, and you will not know at what time I will come to you. Yet you have a few people in Sardis who have not soiled their clothes. They will walk with me, dressed in white, for they are worthy. He who overcomes will, like them, be dressed in white. I will never blot out his name from the book of life, but will acknowledge his name before my Father and his angels. He who has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says to the churches. Sardis, to paint the picture for you, was located about 30 miles southeast of Thyatira and was the 5th stop for the 1st century postman in delivering the letters to the 7 churches. The ruins of 1st century Sardis are located near a city in modern day Turkey called Izmir. Sardis was the converging point for several inland roads. One road led northwest to Thyatira and then on to Pergamum. Another ran in a westerly direction to Smyrna, over 50 miles away. A third ran east and out to Phrygia. A fourth ran in a southeasterly direction to Philadelphia. And the last road led southwest to Ephesus, which was over 60 miles away. So with all these roads converging on Sardis, lots of trade came through Sardis and it became a rich city. 500 years earlier, Sardis was the capital of the old kingdom of Lydia, where King Croesus had reigned. He was reputed to have been one of the richest men in the world at that particular time, the Goldfinger, the man with the Midas touch of his day. It's interesting too because a river named the Pactolus ran through Sardis, from which gold could and was panned. And so the residents of Sardis, by panning for gold, would not be short and were not short of a pound or two. Historians say that Sardis was where the concept of money was born, and so the people there were rich financially. The city of Sardis itself was built on a mountain spur about 1,500 feet above the valley, and since 3 of its 4 sides were at the top of high sheer cliff rocks, Sardis too was regarded as virtually impregnable against military assault. It stood like a giant unassailable watchtower guarding the entire Hermus Valley. Many armies laid siege to Sardis, hoping to get at and to snatch its wealth, but all failed to conquer it. It was literally impregnable, and married with being the rich city it was, it resulted in its residents having a track record and becoming complacent and overconfident. A complacency and a confidence which seeped into the church at Sardis to the degree that it became a church which failed to heed the warnings. The church was rich, the city was impregnable. They failed to heed the warnings. They became complacent and overconfident. A titanic church in many respects, which, as we'll see in our reflections this week, simply did nothing else but rearrange the deck chairs.